great to see such a nice and large audience here. Always good to be in Bangalore. I love the city, especially coming from Gurgaon. The weather and everything is just perfect here, except the traffic is almost getting as bad as, Bangalore and Gurgaon. But great to be here. And I think among us, we have, I would say, the brightest minds in this space in the data center community. So it'll be a honor to talk to everybody, hear the views and opinions. See, data centers these days in India, and I'll come to introduction in a minute, but data centers discussions is, I think, prime topic in the country right now. Wherever I go, and as PwC, we engage with so many industries, so many verticals. India data center boom figures everywhere. In any enterprises we talk to, in any discussions which come up, this topic somehow just comes that what is going on in India in terms of expansions in data center, this whole boom of data centers. So that's a topic of conversation everywhere. And we'll, the today's topic is just apt in terms of the investments happening, what are the issues, what are the trends. So we'll discuss that in the next 40 odd minutes. But this is just to say that this is a key topic of conversation in the country right now. And in fact, even global clients talk about this a lot. So what we'll do is we'll go through the panelists, we'll hear their thoughts and opinions, and then we'll open it to the audience in the end for a few questions also. Just to start off with an introduction, my name is Vinish, Bawa. I'm a partner with PwC handling the telecom sector, and data center is part of our focus, and do a lot of work with every data center company in India in terms of investments, in terms of the strategy, in terms of technology and everything. So with that, I think what we'll do is we'll just do a quick round of intro and their initial thoughts, starting from, let's go from here, Vinod.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, especially to W.Media. Been a very regular feature, few of us here. But every time it's very nice to be part of these discussions. I love to be back in Bangalore because fond memories. One of the first data center greenfield which I constructed was in Bangalore way back in 2007 in KIDB. So it's got fond memories. Subsequently, we built 2 more there. So yes, good city, good people, not so good traffic. But thanks a lot. I have been in this industry for quite a long time. Sometimes it's become very routine and all. But every few years, you get kind of a jolt and new energy coming into data centers. The buzzwords nowadays is AI and ML. But that's keeping us really engaged. So sessions like this really help us to share knowledge. We have got industry experts here, veterans here. And I hope to contribute and connect with all of you here. Thanks a lot. Happy to be part of this discussion.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reddy.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. In fact, I used to work in the government. I retired in August 23. I used to be the Additional Chief Secretary for IT, Biotechnology and Industries and Commerce before retirement. So I am happy. As of now, I am working as Chairman of Karnataka Skill DevelopmentAuthority. Again, part of government, but after retirement. So I would like to welcome you all because I am the only representative from the government. So I would like to welcome you all to this conference. And as mentioned by one of the previous persons also, Bangalore is now catching up. Actually, 50% of the data center capacity is in Bombay and other cities are way below. We are now catching up. So definitely such events and such knowledge sharing will help Bangalore, I hope. And anyhow, further there will be panel discussion. I will be talking to you. Once again, welcome to you.
Now this W.Media has always been a very interesting platform. And I think this is a complete gathering of the industry, partners, OEMs, and a lot of ideas, a lot of challenges, a lot of current trends are getting discussed, which helps a lot in terms of how the industry is moving. As Vinod was saying, not good traffic. He was referring to the vehicular one, not the IP traffic, because that's pretty much in control as far as data center is concerned. I think a very interesting topic we're going to talk now, which is how the data center investment trends are changing. And I think not only the asset class, I think this investment trend is also gathering a lot of momentum.
Of course.
And I think few data points around last 3-4 years, I think This asset class has seen about $4 billion USD investment already. And it's spec'd to about 5.7 billion additional by 2028. I think investors, global investors are very keen. Right. You already have a lot of private equity play already into the market. So I think interesting topic, interesting session. Look forward to engaging all of you, and thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. CB.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, thank you to W.Media for having organized this and got us all together. It's such an important aspect for the country and where we are poised and where, more importantly, where we're going to be going. So always an interesting topic to talk about and discuss and get in. I mean, I'm CB Velaythan with Digital Connexion, which is a joint venture of Brookfield, Reliance Jio, and Digital Realty. So, bringing in some of the, the global leaders in their respective spaces to kind of come in and get into this space. Again, I think a reflection of what India promises, what the potential that we have in India for us to grow. And that's what's exciting. Bangalore, again, is always nice to come back to Bangalore. I've got family here, so I wouldn't miss any opportunity that I can to come here, which is actually getting very rare, but always looking forward to that. It's always as green as it is. I'm amazed with the city. So for all the traffic problems and everything else, I'm impressed that the city is, quite green, very nice, very exciting to kind of come back in. So kudos to the city and everybody here for having kept it as it is. Excited also for the fact that I think, and we've talked about it before, the last 2 decades were the decades of the telecom, and we in Digital Connexion believe the next 2 decades will be the decades of the data center or data. And I think that's an important point that I think for all of us to kind of take, internalize and see how we can all be part of this exciting journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reddy.
Yeah, good morning. Everybody is talking about the traffic issue. Being a Bangalorean, being a proud Kannadiga, I will not accept totally. But the fact is the traffic issue is there pan-India. Everywhere. Even you go to the tier 2, tier 3 city, there again the traffic issue started. Every day, yes, every day 700 vehicles have been registered in Bangalore. How can you expect any government for that matter? That's one part. Second is, they are the heroes and the villain in this panel. Because I am into the construction, the design, build, delivery aspect we do. By the grace of God, we have delivered 170 megawatts of power with the 5 data center, primarily for NTT, and the first data center of Microsoft in India, which is happening in Hyderabad, is being built by us. Now we have 7 data center under construction, wherein we are going to deliver overall 265 megawatts of power. So altogether 435 megawatts of power. That is our strength. And regarding our Dr. Balvi Reddy sir has mentioned that now Bangalore is focusing. Now Bangalore is taking over. Sir, I will give in my next talk what is a way to bring it that apex point. That threshold, how we can cross over, I will tell you in my next talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. This is interesting. So thanks, everyone. I think good to hear your initial thoughts. And in terms of capacity growth, we talked to so many of the customers, the global hyperscalers. I was talking to one of the people in Google and even Microsoft. They were just telling me this is just tip of the iceberg. The old gigabits is now already terabits, and after that you stop counting the zeros. That's where the traffic will go to. So that's the potential which is going to come in terms of traffic, and only for India. So there is enough capacity growth needed, and there is enough demand that's going to happen. That's the trend. That's all the reports globally that say that. So with that, I think first, CB, let's start with you. We're talking about data center investment, trends, private equities coming in here. So what is the mindset of the investors? What's going on? What are the trends in the investor mindset of data centers in India? And how is it changing? And why so much of focus on India? What's your view on that, CB?
Thanks, Vinish. I think it was almost something that we should have almost realized earlier, in a way I would argue. But it's great that we are getting into this inflection point now in the country. I mean, I think there was some stat that was said that we've probably reached a gigawatt of data center capacity in India today. What Deborah, I think, had talked about that. Every forecast says that we're going to quadruple that in terms of capacity and probably go up to 5 gigawatts just in the next 4 or 5 years. And, the reasons to your point as to why there's so much excitement, if you just look at a couple of stats that we can take in as, India probably generates over 20% of the data of the world, in terms of generation and consumption all put together, which is incredible when you look at it just as that stat. And compare that to the data center capacity that we have today, which is less than 3 to 4%. So just to be able to kind of see, and so now a lot of that demand is being catered by, cross-border and other elements of how that's being managed today. So just to be able to cater and drive to get to some portion of that, it's almost obvious we have to quadruple or even do more in terms of just building data center capacity. And that then makes India one of the most exciting countries or regions across Asia Pac for sure, and even in the world, I'd argue. Last year, India surpassed all countries in APAC in terms of just data center capacity that's been built. And this year we're going to be, or actually in 24-25, we're going to be building more capacity than all the other countries put together in APAC. So these are big numbers if you just think of what it represents. So my message to all of everybody in the audience and in this whole community is, this is the right time, and to be able to be part of this journey, to be able to find out how every one of us can be in this journey and drive it. And so there is no surprise when there is demand, and when the government is actually very open about the policies of inviting players to come in and set up data center. Some of the policies that are very user-friendly for companies to come in. So it's no surprise that capital actually is kind of coming into this country in a significant way. We've talked about over $40 billion of investment that's been projected to be in this country in the next decade or so, which is not a small amount at all. And to just double the capacity, there's an incredible amount that's going to be needed. And so, which is why you see a lot of not only capital, but big global players. For example, the company that I represent has Digital Realty, which is one of the world's largest data center players, coming into India through Digital Connexion. And so is Brookfield, which is one of the largest investment companies in the world, wanting to be part of this phenomenon that's happening, and to be part of how we can actually serve this country. So they're all in a very big way in terms of trying to be in it here. And of course, last but not least for us, Reliance, again, while very, very big in India in terms of what they do across all spheres, for them to also be very committed to want to get into data centers, I think should give everybody here a signal and a hope and equally an excitement around just what it represents for all of us.
And totally. In fact, that's what we are seeing in the market, the trends. And what you mentioned, very interesting point, that this is just sort of sub 10% penetration till now. In spite of so many data centers, in spite of all the growth, there is so much of room to grow. So I think these numbers that we hear in all the reports talking of billions of dollars definitely will come into the country. So great to hear. Your thoughts on the same. I would love to hear from you if you want to build on that, and what are you seeing?
No, I think CP covered very well in terms of the gap between the data usage and the capacity. That's one. But I think I'd like to add one more perspective, being in the industry for quite some time. There was time in 2013-14 when we used to call Equinix and Digital Realty, come to India. We used to say, why? You don't have infrastructure. Huh? But now is the case. So it's a combined effort of government and also to give credit to the domestic players. They have proved very well in saying that in spite of all the constraint, we are here delivering capacity. That's the level of slowly building confidence in the market, which is now getting big players as well as investors on that. That combined with obviously the user data's quantum jump in the usage. Investor levels are extremely high, and I think they continue to be. And the other side of looking at it is investors looks at what is the maximization of the returns. You are there in that.
Right.
As long as there are no other industries gives better return than this, the interest will remain on data center. So the last half a decade has been the data centers being the cream for any investors. And I think the double-digit growths and the CAGR's numbers is a proof that investor feels that it's a bet. There needs to be a huge amount of patience to do it in India, which I think they have accepted it. And I mean, there's no looking back for the next at least a decade or two of investors coming in and putting in and the demand growing up and all. So I echo CP's point. The level of interest remains high and will continue to remain high is what I
No, excellent, excellent. And this is exactly what we wanted to hear, that there is enough room for growth, further growth. So switching gears, I think, Dr. Reddy, I'll like to pick your brains on this point. So a lot of investments happening, I think all that is done. So when the investments come up into a country, and India is in the midst of all this, from a location standpoint, what are the 2-3 things that the investors would look at? What are the pros and the cons that a city would be pitching for, and where does Bangalore come in the scheme of things in your view? Let's start with that, and then we'll build on this point around what are the important conditions that are being looked into, and then what does Bangalore come up in the scheme of things?
Yeah. Firstly, I would like to mention about one CII report on data centers published in August 23. What it says is it is even more optimistic. What it says is, after post-pandemic, from 2020 to 23 August, the data center stack has doubled. And from 23 August to 26, they say it will again be doubled. Second thing what they say is, during those 3 years, we got, in fact, much more numbers they have projected. They have said $7 billion investment has come into India in data centers up to 23 August. And next 3 years, the potential, they say, is $10 billion.
Wow.
So where Bangalore stands, I think you wanted that one. The opportunity for Bangalore is too huge, because we claim to be IT capital. We have 400 out of 500 Fortune 500 companies, 40% IT exports, almost 38% global capability centers. Every MNC you name is there. We are into all emerging technologies. But when it comes to data center capacity, I agree that Mumbai is leading ahead of all other cities. 50% is there. Remaining cities, even Chennai is ahead of us. And remaining cities, Hyderabad, Bangalore, we are competing now. So for this, actually, there were some trade issues. In fact, I know Mr. Barry from 2000, because I used to be Deputy Commissioner in Bangalore, where he comes from. So he was the person actually educated me in this. When I was in IT department as Additional Chief Secretary, he told me that the other states have come out with data center policies. Chennai has recently come out at that time. But we had a capacity of, I think if I remember correctly, 96 megawatts of data centers around 2022. Then he educated me that where we lag. One major thing, limiting factor for data centers is the power and quality of power.
Right.
And how we give power, how we can give the redundancy. And there were some issues of zonal regulations also in Karnataka, like height restriction, even FR restriction, DG stacking.
Right.
So all these things he has educated and he has told me. We had 2-3 rounds of discussions with him and his counterparts in various other data centers. So finally we came out with a data center policy about a year back, and a lot of things are set right there. So I hope that Bangalore as of now doesn't stand very high in data center capacity, but as mentioned, data use must be highest in Bangalore.
Sure.
Usage is definitely highest. There is a lot of potential to catch up. I am very optimistic that we will catch up with our new policies and new incentives and concessions we have mentioned in the policy.
So Mr. Beary, your view, I'd love to hear on your views on the same topic. What is your opinion?
Sir, what the industry is expecting, no more policy. They want action on the ground. So I will give you the paradigm shift, sir, how to take Bangalore, if not reaching Mumbai, at least at par with Chennai. The simple paradigm shift is, we are famous for IT park, we have a hardware park, we have aerospace park. We must start, Karnataka government must start the first data center park. You know, take 200, 300 acres of land, make it a data center park, but not in airport side. It should be in the Whitefield side, you know, and then put 220 number of substation, or maybe 400 kV, one substation. Ensure that there is a dual power supply, and then the connectivity. You watch my words, sir. Regarding the investment, you not really bother. Every second week, one or other PE fund, and big guns are contacting us also, that give us an opportunity. But in India, the problem is right from acquisition of the land, right, then the title, then the design, then the sanction, approval, construction. I mean, it's such a rigmarole we can't imagine. Let's say it is better. So if government of Karnataka take the lead, and today you are an advisor, sir. Being an advisor, your word will be listened by the authority. So if we can make that data center park by the government of Karnataka, this is the first initiative in whole of India. And for the PE fund or any fund, they're not bothered. They're all there. I mean, that they're talking about 40 billion. They always looking at the last mile connectivity. Correct. That is where we are failing miserably, and that is where government can really take a major step, so that Karnataka can really become at least number 2 in pan India. Right. That's my suggestion, the request.
No, I think very valid points from your side. The investment is not an issue. It's how simplification is done in terms of the government policies, number 1, number 2, availability of land, and then the people are talking about AI parks now. Data center is just one part of it. They're talking AI cities and AI parks.
I missed out. If you have a 200 acres of land, sir, 50% is confirmed here itself. You know, to look outside. 50% here and another 7-8 here, the deal is done.
Right. So I think combination of all these factors takes into account of choosing a location and why. So and Bangalore does come in the scheme of things along with other cities. It's good to see that so many choices are there in India now in terms of where would you put a data center. In fact, some of the clients of ours are even talking about tier 3 cities. That can we look at specific domain-wise, enterprise-wide tier 3 cities are data centers. So it's an interesting trend that is going on. So Surajit, I think on building on the same topic around investments in data centers, I'd like to ask about green energy, sustainability. How much importance is that, and what's happening in this space in terms of data centers? How is that impacting? Because it's such an important topic right at the policy level of government also. This is just to save some energy.
Some energy, I think. The timing was perfect.
This was exactly timed.
The timing was absolutely right, and it shows that how critical it is.
No, it is actually Gen AI. It could calculate.
Before that, I answer that just to Mr. Bearys' point. I think this data center park concept, parallelly, the Maharashtra government is also now looking very actively. And no, but I think coming back, sustainability is something which is given now. And I think today India has a lot of surplus power. When we build data centers, we have a lot of surplus. It's only little regulated to see how do we ensure that it is available at the right location. Right. When we go and build a data center, every land parcel is not suitable for us. There is some due diligence we need to do, and then we select. And what is very critical next is how close is the substation from where we'll draw that so-called 100 or 200 megawatts of power. I think and I'm part of the CII and ASSOCHAM, and we work very extensively with PwCs and the Boston Group in consulting to the government in terms of how things are going to work. I think now government is now framing a policy, and there will be some amendments very soon coming into the policy on the green side, where various initiatives needs to be given to the investors in terms of how to procure green. From a group perspective, as CapitaLand, we are very actively present into IT park and warehousing also. And we've just invested into a 25 megawatt solar power plant in Chennai. Now that power plant will rightly cater right now to our office side. But for data centers, I think there's enough and more infrastructure is getting planned. From a end user perspective, a mandate is also coming and government is looking at very seriously. Any data center in India, which is live to the capacity, 30% has to go green.
Oh, really?
That's
Okay.
getting a mandate very soon.
Okay.
On your phase one live, whatever capacity you're going, that has to be 5% green. Now, this is not only from an industry ask, I think the hyperscalers are also bringing this as a mandate. So I think every service provider today needs to think of a plan, an action in terms of how to get green. Now, it could be solar, it could be wind and all. And there are various organizations now today, Tatas and other players who are Adanis who are getting very actively. So I think in the next couple of years, we'll see active, proposals there in terms of how to create that infrastructure to support that boom. And all my colleagues were saying this. 2019 COVID period, India was about 350 megawatts
Right.
that time. As we speak now, we are 850. Next 2 years, as sir rightly said, every 2 years the projection is double.
Double, yeah.
India is yet to touch the MI or AL tip. It is pure
Yes.
the data consumption we are addressing right now.
Right.
An AI design data center, rack densities will touch 100 to 150 kilowatt. Gross power will touch about 350 to 400 megawatts. So you need to plan power inclusive of green. And I think that's where government have already started doing many things. They're having external consultants, to guide them how to do this. But that's very one first step.
No, very good. I think what we are also seeing is this whole trend around, ESG, sustainability is not as a tick in the box that, okay, I know I've done something and I'm compliant. It is the whole journey right till the end, offerings right from your building up till the end. That's what's super important. And I think more and more companies need to start adopting that. So CB, since you're, building up data centers, creating this whole large play in the country, what's your opinion on this and how are you taking care of this whole sustainability, green, into your whole dynamics of data centers?
Thanks, Vinish, and I think Surajit was spot on when we talked about green and even the government mandating in data center players and just the industry to be more responsible, which I think is the right direction to go. Independent of that, as in, we welcome the government's initiatives on it to, make sure we're all being responsible. We as an organization, with Brookfield, actually have already got over 20 gigawatts of renewable power being generated and projects that are getting in live right now in the country, which is an incredibly significant not only commitment but also an investment into the country for renewable power. As we spoke the day before, Brookfield announced another participation in another company that they were going to, and they announced about how they're going to triple their investment just in sustainable energy to around $10 billion in the next 4 or 5 years. So for, again, for folks out here, data centers, like I said, it's going to be the decade of the data centers going forward, but very parallelly and piggybacking on that is going to be sustainable energy. So solutions that, everybody has to think about around renewable energy. How do you bring that to the last mile, that we talked about, which always is a bottleneck, but how do we kind of manage that? These are all going to be very important topics to kind of engage in and manage. And so it's absolutely topical in terms of just what we do. And you're seeing corporates being very, aware of it, not just as an ESG thing, but as the right thing to be done. Reliance, for example, has a whole division on energy and also equally invests as much in terms of energy as they do in renewable energy as they do in other forms of energy. So it's about taking all of that and being able to see how we can actually get our data centers also be green, responsible, and driving that. So it's a good platform now to talk about at the right time. As we're talking about quadrupling of data center capacity, it's not just we do that at the expense of the environment and energy, but we take that along and drive that. And I think that's an important piece to talk about. But yes, Vinish, absolutely critical things to discuss.
No, I think the message is anybody who's coming into this space needs to think about this whole sustainability right up front. It's not an afterthought that should come into play.
I want to add this from your earlier question of the investor community.
Right,
On an average, in a fortnight, I meet 2.
right.
Today, when I see ESG is such a critical point they discuss, when they come in and they've already done their homework. When they're entering India, they know, in fact, to the point that which core markets are, they're probably a very pertinent question is, what's your plan as ESG?
Exactly.
What's your plan on sustainability? Where do you see from here next 2 years on your assets, how you're going to plan? So I think the entire ecosystem is now geared up to, for this.
Right.
See, listening to the veterans, I must tell you a very interesting development. 2 weeks back, one client has contacted us. I cannot disclose the name. So there, the offering is not only developing a data center park or a data center, also providing, required amount of renewable energy power. So it is not merely construction. We also, they said, with that condition, we can talk to you.
Sure.
So that means it is really the industry have really taken it serious, and that is the only way, forward.
Right.
As I said.
You want to add something, Vinod?
I would probably add to that. What we look from our organization point of view, sustainability is a very holistic approach.
The mic. No, just get it close to your...
Hello.
Yeah.
Too close. From an holistic approach, while renewable energy is one part of it, the problem statement going forward for all our operators is, how do you get 100% renewable energies? Now we do have solar, wind, but in terms of percentage usage from a data center, and if you map electrons to electron, you're still stuck about 50 to 60%, because obviously you can't generate solar during night time, whereas data center runs 24/7. So the next problem statement is to see how we can push this limit from 60-70% to 100%. So in that way, the government needs to incentivize like storage devices and all to do that. That's one portion of it to get from it. But also sustainability also requires you to be how efficient you are in your own operations. And that's in data center measured from a PUE effectiveness.
Sure.
So while renewable energy is one part of you to be sustainable, you are equally responsible to ensure you design your infrastructure in a way that you are having a lowest PUE in picture. And that's something which has to happen. And the third thing which is going to come to us is how green is you going to be a construction. See, as we keep every milestone going, sustainability and ESG framework is such a vast framework, it hits a lot of things on a fundamental level. And so hence, our one immediate problem is to address renewable energy, second problem is address PUE, third problem, how to get into green constructions.
Yeah.
One of the ways which we all need to do is to how to push from off-site construction, so that the on-site construction, the complexity and the pollution which we do are also addressed on that. And then the next, you'll be pushed towards how to manage employees' health and safety. These are few things which are extremely important to do that. But I think at the starting level, we are all doing extremely well in managing the energy portion of it, which is substantially bigger portion of going green on that. That's few points.
No, excellent. I think such a passionate topic, we can almost do a whole day session on this. Please.
And one is the center park is well taken. We will discuss further in my office. Secondly, the sustainability even... Sustainability, not only energy related, as you said, green building, and even further, even water use efficiency, solid waste management, all these things will come into the picture. As far as the green energy usage is concerned, though he says incentives are not important, but in our policy, what we have mentioned is that if anybody uses at least 30% of green energy in the data center, then we have given them a concession that instead of commercial tariff, you pay industrial tariff. That makes a lot of difference.
That makes a difference. And to you only, Dr. Reddy, I know we've spoken a lot about sustainability and ESG. Let's now move forward in terms of, and I know it's your domain only, So a lot of job creation is going to happen with the data center investments, which is, for a given. What about the skills? There are some reports around skill gaps and a lot of talks around even with the central in the union budget around skill, enhancement of that. So how important is that? And as an advisor, what is your guidance to, the data center companies who are coming up in terms of having the right skills? What's your thoughts on this whole skill development as part of the job creation which is going on?
Whatever the journey of Karnataka till now is, main focus is on talent only.
Right.
Why we are ahead in IT and all emerging technologies? Because of the skilling and IT. But one concern, not in Karnataka, but all over the country is that we are not people are not learning to get the skills. They are learning to pass the degree and get a certificate. Right. There is a gap, I agree. Because of that, lot of these, whereas in engineering colleges also not experiential learning is going on. But if you go to ITIs, polytechnics, it is always hands-on. So what we have done is recently we have formed with industry consultation, formed lot of committees and subcommittees to come out with, especially focusing on emerging technologies, what courses we should give, how to go about it, what we should do. So all these things are being worked out. And as far as the skilling is concerned, once somebody comes out of an engineering college, for example, there is little gap for him to get into the system, right. Whether it is data center or any other company. There, one is the apprenticeship program is there where government gives stipend. Other than that, there is a scheme under Government of Karnataka and Government of India also. Government of Karnataka, it is called Chief Minister's Kaushal Karnataka Yojana, where short-term courses we will devise. If somebody wants to train in certain skills to get into data center management or even system analyst or something, then those short-term courses are there which are 100% free for reskilling and upskilling. And sometimes what happens is, just last week, one big MNC has come and said, we want 6,000 people over the next 3-4 years, you plan for us. We plan individually like that also. Somebody came and said, we want 4,000 people. So such kind of planning is also done. We will aggregate the people, we will give them training. Short-term training, whoever wants, is actually free under Government of Karnataka schemes. Right. So what I am trying to say is, we are ahead of others only because of the talent and skilling in Karnataka. So whoever gets out of a college, for him to reskill or upskill, definitely there are programs. And if any industry or any data center says, we need these 100 people of this kind, we can help them in sourcing them and training them.
Sure. Mr. Beery, what's your view on this? Sir, is there a skill gap? And let's not, your thoughts on country in general, and then maybe Karnataka, what should each state think about to take care of this gap?
Absolutely. There is no skill. There is no skill availability, both in respect of design, construction and operation. And this, my request is, this will not be addressed with your regular skill development program. That is for the generic. This is very specific. So you should have a complete vertical for the data center.
We can devise a special
yes, sir. A special emphasis has to be given, and that should be there should be a certificate course. And then, because data center job is not an issue at all. Right. And then they offer a good salary. Right, my friend? They're all offering the good salary, right? So in that way, getting absorbed, in the job is not an issue at all. Sir, before forget, one more request to Dr. Reddy sir. I mentioned to you about data center park. One more issue to take the paradigm shift to Karnataka is starting a subsea cable, undersea cable, cable at Bangalore. Bangalore, I'm originally from Bangalore, so obviously I have my own interest. So that, if that happens, then the connectivity also is taken care.
I think I'll just have to add this on this point. I think, sir, cable landing station is very critical infrastructure to ensure that the location capacity increases. We all know Mumbai has 12, Chennai has about 6. Chennai is going to add 3, Mumbai is going to add 8 more likely.
Yeah.
Now what is interesting is, we hear a location called Kolkata, who is now getting a cable landing station. It's implemented by Jio under the consortium of hyperscalers.
Right.
And their whole idea is to connect Kolkata and Bangladesh route.
Correct.
So I think to Mr. Beary's point, today if you look at the data center market share, Vinish, 50% is Mumbai, followed by Chennai, roughly about 16%.
Right.
Incidentally, Hyderabad has picked up in the last 2 years. And why Hyderabad has picked up? Because there has been investments from hyperscalers.
Hyperscalers, yeah.
Bangalore has a huge potential
Right.
because it is the IT hub. But the hyperscalers are still in two minds when they will enter.
Right.
When they enter, the capacity increases drastically, which also enhances the periphery to also increase.
Right.
To his point of Bangalore, if that can be considered, sir, it will be a huge shift from a location perspective to increase capacity.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned cable landing station, perfect point, because
At this rate, the government of Karnataka should retain us to give the
CV, you want to add on this?
Yeah, I completely agree with all of them. One is around skill development, around cable landing and making sure we bring that up here. The other incentive is to get the industry, which is, Bangalore is ripe with the IT industry, is to see how they can actually kind of engage with the data center players out here and form a more symbiotic relationship. I mean, we're talking about investment not just in data centers, but on the GCCs, which is now becoming the big vehicle for international companies to come and almost refocus, while it was always a big hub in India, but the whole concept of GCCs, which is about bringing development into the country. And Bangalore is in a very unique place with that. And it's about how we can tie the industry with the infrastructure, which is what the data center industry is able to offer. If we can tie that together, I think Bangalore would be one of the leading states in the country, and it will be the perfect combination.
No, great. Before we move on to Q&A, just one, to you. Technological advancements, we are seeing a lot of Gen AI, metaverse, all this is coming on. So in data center, while the trends are going on in terms of investments, what do you see as the technological, movement in that space? What are the couple of 2-3 things that you're seeing which will change the game in terms of technology?
Okay, thank you. Interesting question. I'll answer this in 2 ways. One is from an operator perspective. We as an operator, the game changer for us is how fast we adapt to our customers' technological change. We are all talking about AI, and suddenly within a few months something may come from customer immediately. Can you be able to accommodate this 100 kilowatt per rack density? Are you fast enough to do that? Do we have the background engineering skills to do that? That's from an operator perspective. So to be in the game is to how fast you adapt to the customer's need of trying for him and enable him to be a change maker on that. So from an operator perspective, it is really clear. Second, from an operator perspective, when you're trying to push huge amount of power and density in one place, it requires certain efficiency to come out of that.
Right.
In terms of how well you're managing a cooling system. And when you're trying to process huge amount of data into the system, the failure of one server leads to catastrophic effect. How good is your resiliency in the system? So from an operation perspective, there are 3 or 4 things which really matters for us. How fast are you able to adapt to what our customers, who are the AI and the hyperscalers, how efficient is your whole system in terms of able to give back to the customers in terms of better energy usage? And third is how resilient is your system. That's from an operational perspective. And from a technology evaluation perspective, do we have much say? I don't think so as of now. It's more driven by our end users.
Right.
He will decide whether it will be a chip level cooling or immersion cooling. I may try to put my own something, but the game changer is somewhere else. So it's more to instead of trying to invent, better be nimble enough to adapt faster on that. This is what I can say.
Sure.
Obviously, on the server processing point, there are n number of invention happening, and they are extremely fast paced. And you will see large processors and large deployment happening on that. So this is my view.
No, great, and I think we can talk a lot on that, but I see that time's up. But anyway, let's open it up for questions. We covered investments, India growing, ESG, skill gap, job rotation, technology. So any questions, any couple of questions, I think we have time to take. I see some hands.
But with the advent of AI, more and more applications, edge computing, etc., in the data center, the scope for unauthorized access is going to increase enormously. And with the AI data there, definitely there is going to be a requirement of cybersecurity. So, while discussing that, are we talking about that now or later?
AI impact and how do we see that growing? Is that what I heard as the question? CV, you want to take that or?
AI impact is obviously something, because AI is such a big topic of discussion now. I mean, I think you talked about unauthorized data access. Yes. And an element. That actually goes even beyond, or actually beyond AI alone. I mean, even today, I mean, so much of data that's being put on the cloud and on co-location and other premises, there is an element of whether there is a right control and the right elements of security that are packaged into the data in itself. And unauthorized access comes from multiple levels. One is just the sheer physical aspect of data. I mean, how does people not get access to a data from a physical perspective? And all the data center industry goes to real great lengths to make sure we have multi-zones of physical security before anybody can actually access or touch a physical server, and then figure out how to be able to do that. And I think the data center industry is doing great work in that space on how do we manage multi-zone security levels on it. And then comes data security from an element of, whether you hack and manage it and all. And that's another very important one. And there is, as we saw even during the last few days around, what global impact can happen on something even which is unintentional. Forget what is intentional. When something unintentional happens, the impact it has was seen by the whole world. And so it's something, that's what I mean. Last week, it brought nearly the whole world down. The economy of the global economy down. And so it's not only a very important one, but an absolute critical number one as we look at how we manage it. And it's something we have to constantly keep figuring out. And if anything we learned last week, there's no quick fixes, but it has to be absolutely monitored every day and managed.
No, absolutely. And this whole cybersecurity layer on data centers, on everything is going to be, evenly increasingly important as Gen AI and other technologies come in. Okay, one last question. Anybody? There are multiple.
I'm here.
I'll let you choose.
I'm Savita from Dell Technologies. My specific question is to Dr. Reddy. As we are talking on skill development program, what partnership private and public is playing? I mean, what is the strategy? Today we are talking on Gen AI, we are talking on data centers, especially with the skills with women in technologies. What are the key roles or initiatives we are taking care? So if you'd like to address few points on that.
As of now, we don't have any specific schemes for specific technologies. We have a general scheme, but if some requirement comes up, some special schemes, as mentioned by Mr. Barry also, can be worked out. There is no bar on that. But as of now, all schemes are meant for everybody. They are same for every technology. But for each one, there is a national skill qualification framework. They should fit into that. If they don't fit into NSQF, then we have to devise a separate program.
Sure, thank you. And I think it's time to wrap up. I know there are, one last, can we take one more question? No, okay. Request please in the networking break, and there will be a lot of time. So because we're running much over time. Oh, he still wants to ask. Let's go ahead. Can you give the mic? Okay, there's a passionate question, looks like.
Yeah, as she asked that about the skills development, as recent even budget session, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman has announced that there is so much skills will be given to the young engineers. So what steps the data centers is going to take in the Karnataka to give the skills to those young engineers?
I don't have a very definite answer, but the first step has been taken towards that. ASSOCHAM, the body which has a data center chapter, they are recommending to the ministry for creating certain specific training institutes to hire the skill set challenges, especially on the electrical and the mechanical, because these challenges is rightly, is across to all. And with all small and big data center players put together, we are 21 of us in the country now. So I think, and with few more to come in, I think this is going to be a very serious challenge. This is also related to what Vinod said. We can't design anything on speculative. We design as per our customers. Today a data center takes about 18 to 22 months to build, unless and until Mr. Berry promises here to deliver in 14 months. But on this, the challenge of getting the skill on time, the challenge to implement, adopt technology and deliver is increasingly becoming. So I think few steps have been started to take. Is there a very perfect right answer today? No. But I think over the period of next 6 months, 1 year, there will be some development, and that's where the industry and the people associated are constantly striving towards it. Thank you.
Thank you, Surajit. I think time to wrap up. I'll just say 3 key takeaways. I think the investment is no dirt. India is the place to be from a data center standpoint. Technologies, green, sustainability are the trends that will be there, which will be there in the next few years. So very, very important to look into. Thirdly, the whole job creation is happening, but we need to map up with the skill development also. So the policies and everything, support will be needed by the government. So with this, thanks a lot to the panelists. And the DC Park, yeah. So thanks a lot to all of you, and I think this could have gone on and on, but a lot of time to discuss later on.
Thank you so much. I'm sure it's indeed a very engaging session. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear a big round of applause